I prepare a special home-cooked dinner for my 28-year-old son, Cody, who recently moved back home after a breakup. During dinner, when I mention my upcoming retirement, Cody cruelly says, "You are a loser, Mom." But my dad's new wife is not. She's younger, successful, and knows how to live life. I freeze, fork midway to my mouth, as tears threaten to fall. I say nothing, setting down my fork while memories of my decades of sacrifice flash through my mind. I simply wipe my mouth and walk away. That night, I sit alone in my bedroom, still reeling from Cody's words. The house is quiet now. He left to meet friends without helping clear the table or wash a single dish. The special pot roast I spent hours preparing his favorite since childhood sits half-eaten in the kitchen. I look at the framed photo on my nightstand. It shows me holding 5-year-old Cody on his first day of kindergarten, his toothy grin wide as he clutched his Spider-Man lunchbox. I was 37 then, already divorced for a year from Frank, my ex-husband who decided family life wasn't exciting enough for him. For 35 years, I dedicated myself to teaching 4th grade at Lincoln Elementary. I loved those children, watching them grow and learn, but my real pride was raising Cody. After Frank left us for his secretary when Cody was 12, I became everything to my son. Mother, father, provider, cheerleader. I pick up my phone and scroll through recent bank statements. The truth stares back at me in cold, hard numbers. 3 months ago, I withdrew $38,000 from my retirement account for a down payment on a new Ford Bronco for Cody. "Just until I get back on my feet, Mom," he had promised. Tiffany dumped me, and I lost everything. I'm still making the $537 monthly payments. My finger scrolls further. His cell phone bill on my family plan, $112 last month. His car insurance, $226. The credit card I co-signed for emergencies only shows purchases at bars, gaming stores, and restaurants totaling over $3,000 this month alone. When Tiffany kicked him out of their apartment 2 months ago, I welcomed him home with open arms. "Just temporarily," he assured me. Yet he hasn't contributed a dime toward groceries, utilities, or rent. At 28 years old, my son lives completely expense-free under my roof. My retirement plans are rapidly dissolving. The trip to the Grand Canyon I've dreamed about for decades, the small pottery studio I plan to build in the backyard, all on hold because Cody needed help. Again, I dial Sarah, my best friend since college. She answers on the second ring. "He said what?" Sarah's voice rises in disbelief after I recount dinner. "Called me a loser," I repeat, the words still burning. "Compared me to Amanda, Frank's trophy wife. Julie, honey, this isn't the first time he's spoken to you this way," Sarah says gently. "Remember last Christmas?" I wince at the memory. Cody had complained about the modest gifts I could afford on my teacher's salary, comparing them unfavorably to the expensive electronics Frank and Amanda had given him. "There's something you should know," Sarah continues hesitantly. "Cody's been talking about you to others. Tom heard him at the golf club last weekend, telling people how he's helping his poor, struggling mom who can't manage without him." My stomach twists. "What?" "I didn't want to tell you, but after tonight, Julie, he's playing both sides, acting like your savior to some, while complaining to others about having to live with his pathetic mother." My hands tremble as I open my laptop and navigate to Facebook. I rarely check social media, but now I search for Cody's profile. He hasn't blocked me, probably, assuming I never look. As I scroll through his timeline, my heart sinks lower with each post. There he is, posing beside the Bronco I paid for, caption reading, "Had to help Mom buy this since she couldn't qualify for a loan on her own. Good son." Another photo shows him at Frank and Amanda's lakeside home, where the successful side of the family lives. Life goals. The most recent post, dated just 3 days ago, makes my blood run cold. Another dinner listening to Mom complain about money while I pay for everything. Some people never learn how to be successful. Thankful for Dad and Amanda showing me what winning looks like. 35 posts in 2 months, each one twisting the truth, painting me as either a charity case or a failure, while positioning himself as either my financial savior or a long-suffering son. I sit back, stunned. The son I sacrificed everything for second jobs, tutoring to pay for his braces, skipping vacations to afford his college tuition at Westbrook University, postponing my retirement to help with his adult expenses, has been systematically humiliating me behind my back while draining my accounts dry. I close the laptop and stare out the window into the darkness. The woman who looks back at me in the reflection isn't the confident teacher who guided hundreds of children. She's a woman who has lost herself in trying to save someone who doesn't want rescue. He wants a blank check. For the first time in 16 years, I allow myself to wonder if Frank was right about one thing. Maybe I do coddle Cody too much. The thought sits uncomfortably in my mind as I hear his car pull into the driveway well after midnight, the engine of the vehicle I purchased revving loudly before falling silent. The next morning, I drive past Frank's lakeside home, on my way to meet with the school principal about my retirement paperwork. I don't plan to stop. I haven't been inside that house since Frank bought it, with his post-divorce success money 5 years ago. But my hands grip the steering wheel tighter when I spot Cody's Bronco in the driveway alongside Frank's Tesla and Amanda's Range Rover. Memories flood back as I slow down. Frank and I were married for 15 years before he announced he was in love with his 26-year-old secretary. I was 44 then, blindsided and devastated. The divorce was quick and painful. Frank, an investment banker, had hidden assets that took my lawyer years to uncover. By the time we received additional settlement money, Cody was nearly finishing high school. Child support came irregularly, until the courts finally garnished Frank's wages. Even then, the amounts were based on income figures Frank had successfully minimized on paper. His involvement in Cody's life became weekend visits that gradually dwindled to holidays, then phone calls on birthdays. Yet somehow, in recent years, Frank had transformed in Cody's mind into the ideal father, the successful role model whose path he should follow. I continue driving, pushing away thoughts of Frank's gleaming lakefront property purchased with the money that should have helped raise his son. The money I made up for with extra shifts and careful budgeting. When I return home that afternoon, the house is quiet. Cody's bedroom door is closed, though it's nearly 2 in the afternoon. I head to my home office to organize my retirement papers when something catches my eye. My purse sits on the desk, unzipped, contents slightly disturbed. I dig through it, a sinking feeling in my stomach. My wallet is there, but when I open it, my credit card is missing, the one with the highest limit that I keep for true emergencies. I distinctly remember placing it back in my wallet after grocery shopping yesterday morning. Just as I'm about to knock on Cody's door, my phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize. Mrs. Parker? This is Thomas Reed from Citizens Bank Fraud Department. We've noticed some unusual activity on your credit card and wanted to verify these purchases with you. My throat tightens. What purchases? There are several transactions from today at Luxury Jewelers for $1,800, Best Buy for $2,600, and an online payment to Delta Airlines for $1,200. Did you authorize these charges? No, I whisper. No, I did not. After answering security questions and confirming the card should be immediately canceled, I hang up and march to Cody's room. I knock once, firmly. What? Comes his irritated voice. I open the door to find him packing an overnight bag. On his bed lies a jewelry box and shopping bags. Did you take my credit card? I ask directly. He barely glances up. I borrowed it. I'm getting you back this weekend when Dad transfers money to me. You spent over $5,000 without asking me? My voice trembles. He sighs dramatically. Don't be so controlling, Mom. It's just money. Those purchases were declined and my card was flagged for fraud, I tell him. The bank called me. Now he looks up, annoyed rather than remorseful. Great. Now I'll have to use another card for the flights. Flights? What flights? Dad and Amanda's anniversary trip to Maui. I'm treating them. He gestures to the jewelry box. Got her a nice bracelet, too. Dad's getting a new iPad. I stare at him, speechless. You stole my credit card to buy expensive gifts for your father and his wife? The same father who barely paid child support? Cody rolls his eyes. Here we go with the jealousy again. This is why I can't stand being here. You're always bitter about Dad's success. It's not his fault you chose to be a teacher, instead of doing something that actually makes money. Something breaks inside me. Not with a crash, but with the quiet finality of ice cracking on a frozen lake. Put everything back and return it for a refund, I say firmly. No way! I already promised them. Dad's letting me stay at the lake house next month when they go to Europe. This is my way of saying thanks. I back out of the room, too upset to continue the conversation. My hands shake as I return to my office and close the door. For the first time in decades, I feel like I don't know the person living under my roof. That evening, I begin methodically reviewing all my finances. I pull credit reports, bank statements, retirement accounts. As I dig deeper, disturbing patterns emerge. Small withdrawals from my checking account that I don't remember making. Credit card charges in odd amounts to unfamiliar vendors. My emergency savings account is $2,300 lighter than my records indicate it should be. I call the bank and place security alerts on all my accounts. The customer service representative asks me to hold, then returns with concern in her voice. Mrs. Parker, I'm transferring you to our fraud department. There appear to be applications for new credit accounts using your social security number from the past month. 2 hours and dozens of security questions later, I sit surrounded by notes and a growing sense of horror. Someone has been using my personal information to open credit accounts in my name. 2 new credit cards, a store charge account, and an application for a personal loan of $15,000. I don't need to be a detective to know who that someone is. The loan application was denied due to recent excessive new credit activity, but the damage to my credit score is already done. Just months before my retirement, my financial security has been compromised by the one person I trusted most in this world. My phone rings again. It's my sister, Linda. Julie, is everything okay? I just got a strange call from Cody asking if he could stay with me for a few weeks. Something about you having mental health issues and needing space. I gripped the phone tighter. What? He said you've been acting erratic, forgetting things, making accusations. Said he's worried about you being alone before retirement and wanted my advice about looking into assisted living options. Linda's voice is concerned. I told him that didn't sound like you at all. The room seems to tilt around me. Not only has my son stolen from me financially, but he's now attempting to gaslight me to my own family, potentially setting the stage to take control of my assets. This isn't carelessness or entitlement anymore. This is calculated, predatory, dangerous. After reassuring Linda that I'm perfectly fine and explaining the real situation, I hang up and sit in the growing darkness of my office. Outside, I hear Cody's car start up as he leaves for the evening without a word. My hands stop shaking. My mind clears. For the first time in years, I see my son, my adult son, for who he really is, not who I desperately wanted him to be. And with that clarity comes a decision that feels both terrifying and long overdue. The financial advisor's office is cooler than the June heat outside. Harold Matthews has been handling my modest portfolio for 15 years, helping me stretch a teacher's salary into something that could support both Cody's needs and my eventual retirement. Julie, I've been concerned for some time, Harold says, reviewing the documents I've brought him. These withdrawals for Cody's expenses have accelerated over the past year. I know, I admit. I thought I was helping him through a rough patch after his breakup with Tiffany. Harold removes his glasses. A rough patch shouldn't last a year, especially for a healthy young man in his late 20s. Looking at these numbers, you've withdrawn nearly $54,000 from your accounts to support him since January alone. The figure stuns me into silence. $54,000. More than my annual teaching salary. At this rate, you'll deplete your retirement funds within 4 years of leaving your job, Harold continues. That's not accounting for medical expenses, which typically increase as we age. What do I do? I ask, my voice small. Harold leans forward. You need to financially separate yourself from your son immediately. It's not just your retirement at stake now, it's your credit score, your home equity, potentially even your Social Security benefits if these fraudulent accounts aren't addressed properly. He helps me create a comprehensive financial separation plan, freeze credit reports, change all banking passwords, remove Cody as an authorized user on accounts, document all unauthorized transactions, and file identity theft reports where necessary. What about the car? I ask. The title is in both our names, but I've made every payment. You'll need to consult with your attorney about that and the living situation, Harold advises. This isn't just financial planning anymore, Julie. This is legal protection. I leave Harold's office with a detailed action plan and my next destination already programmed into my GPS, the law offices of Patricia Winters. Patricia's downtown office feels secure, with its solid wooden furniture and walls lined with law books. I've only been here once before, during my divorce proceedings when Patricia was a junior associate on my case. Now she runs her own practice specializing in family law and elder protection. Identity theft by family members is unfortunately common, Patricia tells me after hearing my story. The fact that he's trying to undermine your credibility with other family members elevates this from simple financial exploitation to something potentially more sinister. He's my son, I say weakly. Patricia's expression softens, which makes this betrayal all the more painful, I know. But Julie, if a stranger were doing this to you, you'd have already called the police. Your relationship with Cody doesn't make his actions less harmful. It makes them more so because he's exploiting your love and trust. We discuss my legal options. Since Cody is living in my home without a formal lease, I'll need to provide proper written notice to evict him 30 days in our state. The car is more complicated since both our names are on the title, but since I can prove I've made all payments, a judge would likely rule in my favor if contested. What about pressing charges for the identity theft and credit card fraud? I ask. Patricia looks at me steadily. That's entirely your decision. Some parents choose to use the threat of charges as leverage to obtain cooperation and changed behavior. Others feel filing charges is the only way their adult child will truly face consequences. There's no right answer, only what you can live with. I think about the son I raised, the little boy I loved more than life itself. I also think about the man who called me a loser to my face while stealing from me behind my back. I'll hold off on charges for now, I decide. But I need all the paperwork ready if that changes. 3 hours later, I leave Patricia's office with draft eviction papers, a letter demanding financial restitution, forms to transfer the car title solely to my name, and a folder containing affidavits about the identity theft ready to file if needed. On my way home, I stop at an electronics store and purchase security cameras for my house, both exterior and interior models, for the common areas. The salesperson helps me select a system I can monitor from my phone. It costs $896 money I shouldn't be spending. But Patricia's words echo in my mind. Your safety and security come first. For the next 5 days, I methodically execute my plan while maintaining a normal demeanor around Cody, who seems oblivious to my activities. I install the security cameras when he's out with friends. I spend hours on the phone with credit bureaus and banks. I carefully document every item of value in my home with photographs and receipts. I change every password to my accounts. I start redirecting my mail to a new P.O. box. I notice Cody taking more calls outside, speaking in hushed tones. He's been surprisingly pleasant, even offering to cook dinner one night, something he hasn't done in years. The sudden change in behavior makes me wary rather than relieved. On the 6th day, while Cody is at the gym, I get an unexpected ring at my doorbell. It's my neighbor, Doris Wilson, who lives across the street. Julie, I wanted to check that everything's all right, she says, concern etched on her face. I saw the strangest thing yesterday. A couple I didn't recognize was walking around your property, looking in windows and taking pictures of your house. When I asked if I could help them, they said they were friends of your son, considering buying your place when you move out next month. My blood runs cold. Move out next month? That's what they said, that you were downsizing to an apartment. and your son and his father would be taking over the house. I thought it sounded odd since you hadn't mentioned anything. I invite Doris in for coffee and gently probe for more information. The couple had been specific. According to them, I would be moving while Cody was visiting his father at the lake house, and Frank would be helping Cody take over the mortgage. They even mentioned planning to expand the kitchen. My kitchen, in my house that was paid off 10 years ago, and is solely in my name. After thanking Doris for her neighborly concern, I check my new security cameras footage from the previous day. Sure enough, at 2:15 in the afternoon while I was meeting with my principal about retirement paperwork, a couple had circled my house with Cody, pointing at features and measuring the backyard. I sit at my kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug of cold coffee. The pieces click into terrible place. Cody's sudden pleasantness, the secretive phone calls, his mentioning plans to stay at Frank's lake house for a week next month. He wasn't just stealing my money, he was planning to take my home while I was away visiting my sister in Arizona, a trip I'd mentioned just last week. With trembling fingers, I pick up my phone and call Patricia. I need those eviction papers now, I tell her. And I want to file a restraining order. The next morning is Saturday. Cody sleeps late, as usual. I'm already on my second cup of coffee when I hear Patricia's car pull up outside. She hands me an envelope containing official-looking documents. The eviction notice gives him 30 days, she reminds me. The restraining order application is ready for your signature, but as we discussed, we'll hold off filing it unless his behavior warrants immediate action. I've also prepared a letter outlining all unauthorized financial activities and demanding repayment. And here's the paperwork showing you've removed him from your car title based on proof of payments. I thank her and wait until her car disappears down the street before returning inside. The house is still quiet. I place the envelope on the kitchen table and busy myself preparing a simple lunch. Around noon, Cody emerges from his room, hair disheveled, immediately heading for the coffee pot. "Morning," he mumbles, not making eye contact. "Good afternoon, actually," I correct him gently. "There's mail for you on the table." He grunts and takes his coffee to the table. I continue chopping vegetables, my back to him, listening. The sound of tearing paper. Silence. Then an explosive, "What the hell is this?" I turn slowly, knife still in hand. "It's an eviction notice. You have 30 days to find other accommodations." His face contorts with disbelief. "Is this a joke?" "No joke. I'm also removing you from my car title, canceling all shared credit cards, and requiring repayment of funds you've taken without permission." Cody stands so abruptly his chair falls backward. "You can't do this to me. Where am I supposed to go?" "You're 28 years old, Cody. Finding housing is your responsibility, not mine." My voice remains calm, though my hand tightens around the knife handle. "This is insane. I've been helping you, living here to keep you company, making sure you're okay. Is that what you call stealing my credit cards? Opening fraudulent accounts in my name? Planning to take over my house while I'm away visiting Linda?" His eyes widen slightly at the last accusation, then narrow. "You've been spying on me?" "No, I've been protecting myself. There's a difference." His phone dings with a message. He glances at it, then back at me with growing anger. "My credit card was just declined." "What did you do?" "Removed you as an authorized user from my account. It was never your credit card, Cody. It was mine, which you had permission to use for emergencies only." "I'm having friends over tonight. I need that card for alcohol." I shake my head. No longer my concern. His face darkens. "You frigid bitch. This is why Dad left you. This is why no man has wanted you since. You're controlling and pathetic." Each word stings, but I stand my ground. Perhaps. But this frigid bitch owns this house outright, has a pension waiting, and isn't committing federal crimes by stealing someone's identity. You think you're so smart? Wait until Dad hears about this. He always said you were unstable. Feel free to call him. But Frank has no authority here. This is my house, purchased with my teaching salary, maintained with my money. His phone rings, apparently his friends are already on their way over. He answers it, turning away from me. "Yeah, Still on for tonight, he says with forced cheerfulness, then adds with a pointed look at me, my mom's being a total nightmare, trying to throw me out for no reason. She's losing it before retirement, going senile or something. I continue calmly chopping vegetables. Your friends are welcome to come over. In fact, I encourage it. I have copies of these documents for them too, along with printouts of your social media posts about your poor struggling mom and security footage of you bringing strangers to case my house while I was at work. The color drains from his face. He hangs up abruptly. You wouldn't dare, he hisses. Try me. I meet his gaze steadily. I've spent 16 years protecting you from consequences, Cody. That ends today. His friends arrive 20 minutes later. 3 young men I recognize from high school and their girlfriends. They pile into our living room with cases of beer and grocery bags full of snacks. Cody hasn't emerged from his room since our confrontation. Mrs. Parker. One of them greets me. Cody said you weren't feeling well. Everything okay? I'm perfectly fine, Ryan. Thank you for asking. Just setting some new household boundaries. Cody appears, clearly having texted warnings to his friends, judging by their sudden awkwardness. Let's go to the basement, he says quickly. Actually, I interject pleasantly before you do. I wanted to clear up some apparent confusion. Despite Cody's attempts to hustle everyone downstairs, I managed to explain that contrary to what they may have heard, I'm neither senile nor planning to give Cody my house. I don't show them the legal documents that would be excessive, but I do mention that Cody will be finding his own place within 30 days. Mom's just joking, Cody says with a forced laugh. Family stuff, you know how it is. One of the girlfriends, Jenny, looks between us with concern. Cody, you told us last week your mom was moving to a retirement community and you were taking over the mortgage. And you told us you pay all her bills because she can't manage money, Ryan adds, looking uncomfortable. He also told us he bought that new Bronco because his mom couldn't qualify for a loan, another friend says slowly. But that's not true, is it, Mrs. Parker? I simply shake my head. The atmosphere shifts palpably. His friends exchange glances, reconsidering the young man they thought they knew. Cody's face flushes red. Get out, he shouts at me. This is my night with my friends. You're embarrassing me. Actually, Cody, I think we should go, Jenny says quietly. Others nod in agreement. What? No. She's just being dramatic. But his friends are already gathering their things, making awkward excuses about other plans and early mornings tomorrow. Within 5 minutes, they've all filed out, leaving Cody standing alone in the living room, vibrating with rage. You've ruined everything, he spits out. I look at my son, really look at him, and for the first time, see clearly the entitled, manipulative adult he's become, so different from the sweet boy I raised. It breaks my heart, but it also strengthens my resolve. No, Cody, I say softly. You did that all by yourself when you called your mother a loser while stealing from her. I turn and walk to my bedroom, locking the door behind me. Outside, I hear Cody's angry footsteps, followed by the slam of the front door and the squeal of tires as my Bronco peels away from the curb. My phone buzzes with a text from Ryan. Mrs. P, we had no idea. I'm so sorry. Let us know if you need anything. I close my eyes and take a deep breath. The hardest part is over. The truth is out. Now comes the fallout. The following week unfolds in a series of tense encounters and unexpected developments. Cody returns late that first night and spends most of Sunday in his room. When we pass in the hallway, he either glares silently or attempts clumsy apologies that never quite acknowledge the extent of his actions. I was just trying to get ahead, he says at one point. Everyone's hustling these days. You don't understand how hard it is for my generation. I resist pointing out that hustling doesn't typically involve stealing from your mother. Instead, I maintain calm, clear boundaries. The eviction date stands. You need to make arrangements. On Monday morning, my phone rings while I'm sorting through retirement paperwork. It's Frank. What the hell are you doing to our son? He demands without preamble. Hello to you too, Frank, I reply evenly. Cody says you've lost your mind. Throwing him out? Canceling his cards? Taking back the car you promised him? Has Cody explained why I've taken these actions? Frank snorts. He says you're jealous of his relationship with me and Amanda, that you can't stand seeing him succeed where you failed. Interesting perspective. Did he mention the credit card fraud? The identity theft? The plans to take over my house? Silence stretches across the line. Then, what are you talking about? For the next 15 minutes, I methodically detail everything Cody has done. The stolen cards, the fraudulent accounts, the lies to family and friends, the planned house takeover. Frank listens without interruption, his silence growing heavier. He said you needed help, Frank finally says, his voice subdued. That you were struggling financially and emotionally. That's why I've been giving him extra money these past few months. Now it's my turn to be silent. Extra money? $500 a week to help with your household expenses. Plus, I paid off his credit card twice, thinking the charges were for your medications and home repairs. The pieces click into place how Cody always seemed to have spending money, despite not having a steady job, how he could afford nights out while claiming to be helping me. Frank, I never saw a dime of that money, and I don't need medications beyond occasional blood pressure pills, which are covered by my insurance. Another long silence. I've been played, he says finally. We both have. The conversation shifts then, becoming the most honest exchange we've had since our divorce. Frank admits he largely abandoned Cody emotionally after our split, assuaging his guilt with gifts and money rather than time and guidance. I acknowledge that I likely enabled Cody's dependency by always solving his problems and shielding him from consequences. What are you going to do? Frank asks. Stand firm on the eviction. He needs to learn independence. He can stay with us temporarily, Frank offers, surprising me. But Amanda's already frustrated with his attitude. Says he treats their house like a hotel and her like staff. That sounds familiar. Before hanging up, Frank promises to stop sending Cody money and to support my boundary setting. It's the first time in 16 years we've been aligned on anything related to parenting. Over the next few days, Cody makes half-hearted attempts to find housing, dramatically sighing over apartment listings with outrageous rent prices. Meanwhile, I continue my systematic reclaiming of independence. I change the Wi-Fi password. I stock only enough groceries for myself. I convert the monthly budget to reflect a single-person household. On Thursday afternoon, I return from a retirement planning workshop to find the Bronco missing from the driveway. A quick check of the security cameras shows Cody loading several suitcases into it 3 hours earlier. A note on the kitchen counter reads simply, "Staying at Dad's. This isn't over." I call Frank immediately. He confirms Cody arrived with luggage, announcing he'd be staying until Mom gets over her midlife crisis. Amanda's not happy, Frank admits. But we'll manage for a while. I thank him and hang up, feeling an unexpected lightness. The house is peaceful without Cody's brooding presence. For the first time in months, I play my favorite classical music without earphones. I cook a meal sized perfectly for one person. I spread my retirement paperwork across the entire dining table without worrying about having to clear it for someone else. That weekend, I do something I've been postponing for years. I clear out Cody's childhood bedroom. The room has remained largely unchanged since high school sports trophies collecting dust, band posters yellowing on the walls, a desk still covered with stickers from his skateboarding phase. I spend Saturday carefully sorting through everything, creating piles for storage, donation, and items Cody might actually want to keep. By Sunday evening, the room is transformed. I move in my pottery wheel, purchased years ago, but rarely used due to lack of space. I hang artwork from former students who've kept in touch. I place my yoga mat in the corner near the window, where morning light streams in beautifully. What was once a shrine to my son's childhood becomes a studio space for my long-deferred creative pursuits. The following Tuesday, I receive a call from a number I don't recognize. "Is this Julie Parker?" a woman's voice asks. "Yes, it is. This is Amanda, Frank's wife." My breath catches. In 16 years, I've never spoken directly with the woman who replaced me in Frank's life. Cody can't stay with us anymore, she says without preamble. It's been 6 days, and I'm at my breaking point. What happened? Amanda sighs heavily. Everything. He expects maid service. He's rude to me when Frank isn't around. He's eating us out of house and home without contributing. And yesterday, I found him going through my purse, looking for my credit cards. Despite everything, I feel a pang of sympathy for her. I'm sorry he's putting you through this. I've always thought you were jealous and bitter based on what Frank and Cody said, Amanda admits. But now I'm wondering if you were just tired. Really, really tired. The comment surprises a laugh out of me. That's actually quite accurate. Frank won't stand up to him, she continues. He feels guilty about the divorce still. But I've given him an ultimatum. Either Cody goes, or I'm staying with my sister until he does. What do you want from me? I ask, though I suspect I know the answer. Take him back, she pleads. Just temporarily, until he finds his own place. I can't do that, Amanda. It wouldn't help him, and it would harm me. But he's your son. Yes, and as his mother, the most loving thing I can do right now is let him experience the consequences of his actions. He's burning bridges with you just like he did with me. Taking him back would just give him a new bridge to burn. After we hang up, I sit in my newly created studio space, thinking about the patterns we create in families, how easy it is to repeat them across generations and relationships. Frank enabled Cody with money. I enabled him with emotional support and practical help. Amanda is now facing pressure to continue the pattern. 2 days later, Frank calls again. His voice sounds strained. Amanda kicked him out, he says. Found him using her Amazon account to order expensive electronics. He's sleeping in the Bronco now. I close my eyes, picturing my adult son curled up in the back seat of the SUV I'm still making payments on. Part of me aches to rescue him. The wiser part holds firm. Where is he parked? I ask. Walmart parking lot near our house. Says he'll find an apartment soon, but his credit score is terrible and he doesn't have proof of income. That sounds like a problem he needs to solve. Frank is silent for a moment. You're really not going to help him? I am helping him, Frank. Just not in the way you think. After hanging up, I check my security camera footage. Sure enough, at 2 a.m, Cody had attempted to use his key to enter my house. The new locks I installed thwarted his effort. The camera captured his frustrated kick to the door before he returned to the Bronco and drove away. The next day brings the biggest shock yet. I receive a call from Brenda Johnson, the principal at Lincoln Elementary, where I've taught for 28 years. Julie, I need you to come in as soon as possible. There's a situation involving Cody. My heart races as I drive to the school. Has Cody done something at the school? Made threats? Tried to borrow money from my colleagues? Brenda meets me in her office, her expression grave. Julie, I received disturbing messages from Cody sent to several staff members. He's claiming you have a history of abusing him as a child, and that your recent erratic behavior is part of a pattern that the school covered up to protect you. I feel the blood drain from my face. What? She slides printouts across her desk emails, texts, and social media messages sent to younger teachers who wouldn't have known me when Cody was a child. The messages contain detailed, horrific allegations. That I locked him in closets, withheld food as punishment, left bruises hidden beneath his clothing. These are absolute lies, I whisper, hands trembling. I never, ever laid a hand on him. I know, Brenda says firmly. I've known you for decades, Julie. Many of us here remember Cody as a student, how you brought him to school events, how attentive you were. No one who actually knew your family believes these allegations. Then why am I here? Because he's escalating. After staff ignored his messages, he started posting these allegations publicly, tagging the school district. He's contacted the state education board, threatening to file a formal complaint about a culture of abuse cover-up. We need to address this before it affects your retirement benefits or pension. I sit back, stunned by the depths to which my son would sink to punish me for setting boundaries. Not content to steal my money and attempt to take my home, he now wants to destroy my professional reputation and threaten the retirement I've worked decades to secure. He wants me to be homeless and penniless, I realize aloud, completely dependent on him so he can control me. Brenda reaches across the desk to squeeze my hand. We won't let that happen. The district's legal team is already preparing a cease and desist letter. We have decades of your performance reviews, parent commendations, and professional records that contradict his claims. I leave the school with copies of Cody's messages and a strange sense of calm. The hurt is still there, profound and aching, but now it's accompanied by clarity. This isn't about money anymore. It isn't even about entitlement or enabling. This is about control, about a twisted desire to dominate the parent who dared to say no. That night, I call Patricia and tell her I'm ready to file the restraining order. I also ask her to prepare documents to report the identity theft to police. There can be no more protection, no more motherly shield against consequences. Are you sure? Patricia asks gently. Filing charges could mean legal consequences for him, potential fines, even jail time depending on the amounts involved. I'm sure, I say, my voice steady. He's left me no choice. As I hang up, my doorbell rings. The security camera shows Cody standing on my porch, shoulders slumped, looking more disheveled than I've ever seen him. For a moment, my heart wavers. Then I remember the vicious lies he's spread about me, the attempts to destroy everything I've worked for. I don't open the door. Instead, I speak through the camera's intercom. The eviction notice stands. Cody, please leave the property or I'll have to call the police. Mom, please. His voice breaks. I'm sleeping in my car. I have nowhere to go. You have choices, I reply calmly. You can find a shelter. You can apply for apartments within your actual budget. You can look for a steady job. You can stop spending money on luxuries you can't afford. You can apologize sincerely to Amanda and Frank and see if they'll reconsider. What you cannot do is come back here. After everything I've done for you, he cries, anger flaring again. This is how you repay me? I've been taking care of you. No, Cody, you've been taking advantage of me. There's a difference. His face contorts with rage. You'll regret this. I've told everyone what you really are. No one will believe your lies anymore. Goodbye, Cody, I say softly, and switch off the intercom. I watch through the security camera as he pounds on the door, shouting obscenities. Eventually, he returns to the Bronco and speeds away, tires screeching against asphalt. I sink onto my sofa, finally allowing the tears to come. I cry for the sweet little boy I once knew. I cry for the man he failed to become. I cry for the mother who couldn't see the truth until it was almost too late. And then, as the tears subside, I straighten my shoulders. Tomorrow, I will file the restraining order. Tomorrow, I will report the identity theft. Tomorrow, I will meet with the school district's lawyers to defend my reputation. Tonight, I will rest, secure in the knowledge that I am finally putting myself first, after a lifetime of doing the opposite. 3 days later, I'm having coffee with Sarah when my phone rings. It's Frank, again. Julie, we have a problem, he says without greeting. Cody's been suspended from his job at the marketing firm. I hadn't even realized he was employed. The last I knew, he'd been between opportunities for nearly 8 months. What happened? I ask, signaling to Sarah that this might take a while. His manager caught him charging personal expenses to company accounts. He was already on probation for attendance issues. They've suspended him pending investigation. But, between us, they're building a case for termination and possibly criminal charges. I close my eyes briefly. How much did he take? At least $12,000 over 6 months. He had access to the department credit card for client meetings, and apparently has been charging everything from his car payments to bar tabs. Another victim of Cody's entitlement. Another bridge burned. I don't know what you expect me to do about this, Frank. Talk to him. He listens to you. I nearly laugh at the absurdity. He listens to me? Is that why he stole my identity? Why he's spreading vicious lies about me to my colleagues? Why he tried to break into my house at 2 a.m? Frank is quiet for a moment. He tried to break in? Yes. I have it on security camera footage. Julie, I'm worried about him. Really worried. He's spiraling. Amanda found empty liquor bottles in our yard. He's been parking down the street and drinking in his car. His friends aren't taking his calls anymore after what happened at your house. He needs help. Yes, he does. I agree. But not the kind of help either of us has been giving him. He needs professional intervention for his behavior. After Frank hangs up, I fill Sarah in on the latest developments. She listens with growing concern. You need to be careful, she warns. People can become desperate when they're losing everything, especially if they don't think they deserve to lose it. That night, I double-check all my locks before bed. The restraining order has been filed but won't be served until tomorrow. The identity theft report has been submitted to the police. The school district's lawyers have sent Cody a strongly worded cease and desist letter regarding his false allegations. I've taken every reasonable precaution, yet sleep eludes me. Around midnight, I hear a car pull up outside. The security alert pings on my phone, showing the Bronco parking across the street. I watch as Cody sits there for nearly an hour just staring at the house. Eventually, he drives away without approaching the door. The next morning brings a fresh nightmare. I wake to multiple missed calls and text messages from family members, my sister Linda, cousins, even my elderly aunt in Florida. They've all received disturbing emails from Cody overnight, each containing the same vile fabrications about childhood abuse that he sent to my school colleagues, but with additional details tailored to each recipient. To Linda, he claimed I confessed to hurting him during a recent phone call. To my cousins, he referenced specific family gatherings where he alleged I'd shown signs of being an unfit mother. To my aunt, he suggested that my late parents had known about the abuse but covered it up to preserve family harmony. The carefully constructed lies show a disturbing level of calculation. He's created a narrative just plausible enough, with just enough emotional manipulation, that relatives who haven't seen us in years might believe him or at least have doubts about me. I spend the morning making difficult phone calls, explaining the situation, directing family members to speak with Frank for verification of Cody's recent behavior. Most are supportive, though some remain uncertain, caught between long-held affection for Cody and their knowledge of my character. Around noon, the sheriff arrives to serve Cody with the restraining order, but of course, he's nowhere to be found. They'll continue attempting service. Just as I'm preparing a simple dinner for myself, my phone rings with a number I don't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answer. Mrs. Parker? An unfamiliar male voice asks. Yes? This is Officer Daniels with the County Police Department. We have your son, Cody Parker, in custody. You're listed as his emergency contact. My heart pounds. What happened? He was arrested for public intoxication and attempting to use a fraudulent credit card at the Lakeside Hotel bar. During processing, we discovered the restraining order awaiting service. He's being held without bail due to the combination of charges. I sit down heavily. I see. He's asking to speak with you. Normally, we wouldn't facilitate contact when there's a restraining order involved, but since it hadn't been served yet technically, I wanted to check if you're willing to take his call from the detention center. I think about it for a long moment. Yes, I'll speak with him. 20 minutes later, my phone rings again. Mom? Cody's voice sounds small, defeated. I really messed up. Yes, you did. They're saying you filed a restraining order and identity theft charges, and that you told my work about the company credit card. I filed the restraining order and reported the identity theft, I confirm. I didn't know about your work situation until Frank told me yesterday. I made no contact with your employer. He's quiet for a moment. They're saying I could go to prison. Actual prison, Mom. For the first time, I hear genuine fear in his voice. Not manipulation, not anger, but real fear. That's a possibility when you commit multiple financial crimes, I say evenly. You have to help me, he pleads. I know I messed up, but I can't go to prison. Please, Mom. Part of me, the mother who kissed, scraped knees, and checked for monsters under the bed, wants to rush down to the police station and fix everything. But that mother's blind love is what helped create this situation in the first place. I can't help you this time, Cody. This is beyond my fixing. But you're my mom, he cries, the old entitlement flaring again. You're supposed to be there for me no matter what. I am here for you, I say firmly. I'm here telling you the truth. You need professional help for your behavior patterns, and you need to face consequences for your actions. I would be failing you as a mother if I tried to shield you from what you've brought upon yourself. I hate you, he hisses, the vulnerability vanishing. I hope you die alone and miserable. Everyone knows what you really are now. The call disconnects. I sit in my quiet kitchen, hands trembling slightly. Despite everything, his words still have the power to wound me. Later that night, Frank calls. He's spoken with the police and a lawyer friend about Cody's situation. It's bad, Julie. The fraudulent credit card he tried to use at the hotel bar was in your name. One of the accounts he opened without your knowledge. That alone is a felony. Combined with the restraining order, the public intoxication, and the workplace investigation, he's looking at serious charges. What's going to happen? I ask. Best case? Probation, mandatory counseling, community service, and significant financial restitution if it's a first-time offender plea deal. Worst case? 2 to 5 years in state prison? The severity lands like a physical blow. My son, my only child, could go to prison. Despite everything he's done, the thought is almost unbearable. Is there anything we can do? I ask, hearing the quaver in my voice. Frank sighs heavily. His lawyer says that if you, as the primary victim, were to request leniency and agree to certain conditions like him entering a treatment program for alcohol and mental health issues, it could significantly impact the judge's decision. What would that mean for the restraining order? For my protection? You could maintain the order but modify it to allow supervised contact or specific exceptions. Julie, I know he's hurt you terribly, but he's still our son. Prison won't help him become a better person. I think about it through a sleepless night. By morning, I've reached a decision. I call Patricia to discuss modifying my stance with the prosecutor under strict conditions. Cody must enter inpatient treatment for his alcohol issues and apparent behavioral health problems. He must make financial restitution according to a payment plan. He must have no unsupervised contact with me until completing treatment and showing significant improvement. This isn't dropping charges, Patricia clarifies. It's advocating for a rehabilitative approach to sentencing. You can do this while still holding him accountable. That's exactly what I want, I confirm. 3 days later, I sit in a courtroom as Cody appears for his arraignment. He looks terrible, unwashed, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. When he sees me, his expression cycles rapidly through surprise, hope, anger, and finally shame. He quickly looks away. The prosecutor presents the state's case, outlining multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, violation of restraining order, public intoxication, and attempted theft from his employer. Cody's court-appointed lawyer then presents our negotiated proposal for a rehabilitative sentence, highlighting my willingness as the primary victim to support this approach. The judge considers the proposal carefully. Mr. Parker, you should understand what your mother is doing for you today. Many parents in her position would pursue maximum penalties after such a profound betrayal. Instead, she's advocating for your rehabilitation while still insisting on accountability. This speaks to her character and throws your treatment of her into even sharper relief. Cody stares at the floor, unable to meet anyone's gaze. I am inclined to accept this proposed arrangement, with additional conditions, the judge continues. You will enter inpatient treatment immediately. You will make financial restitution to all victims. You will serve 18 months probation following treatment. You will maintain employment. You will attend weekly therapy. And you will have absolutely no contact with your mother outside of supervised family therapy sessions until your treatment team deems it appropriate. The judge leans forward. Understand this clearly, Mr. Parker. This is your one chance. Violate any of these conditions, and you will serve the full sentence for all charges, which would be approximately 4 years in state prison. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, Cody whispers. As he's led away to be processed before transfer to the treatment facility, he finally looks at me. There's no anger now, just confusion, and the beginning of something that might, with time and work, become genuine remorse. I leave the courthouse feeling neither triumphant nor defeated. There is only a quiet certainty that I've done the right thing for Cody, for myself, and for our future, whatever form it might take. That evening, my doorbell rings. It's Frank, looking older and more serious than I've seen him in years. "May I come in?" he asks. "We need to talk about our son." 6 months later, I stand in my newly completed pottery studio in the backyard. What was once just a dream is now a small but functional space where I teach twice-weekly classes to retirees and children. The late October sunlight filters through windows we installed ourselves. We being myself, Frank, and surprisingly, Amanda, who turned out to have considerable skill with power tools. The past half year has brought changes I never could have imagined when Cody called me a loser at dinner that fateful night. After Cody entered treatment, Frank and I began having regular conversations about how our parenting choices, his absence, and my overcompensation had contributed to Cody's sense of entitlement and lack of accountability. These discussions were painful but necessary, forcing both of us to confront our failures without excusing Cody's choices. "I abandoned my responsibilities," Frank admitted during one particularly difficult conversation. "Not just to Cody, but to you. Leaving was my choice, but I made it your burden to carry alone." This acknowledgement led to an unexpected development. Frank began contributing substantially to my retirement fund, calling it delayed child support with interest. At first I refused, but he was insistent. "This isn't charity, Julie. It's justice. My success was built partly on freedom from responsibilities you shouldered alone. I can't change the past, but I can help secure your future. The financial support has allowed me to establish my pottery studio without depleting my savings. It's also enabled me to assist other single mothers through a small scholarship fund I created at Lincoln Elementary, turning my personal pain into community support. Amanda and I have developed a surprising friendship based on mutual respect and the shared experience of seeing through Cody's manipulations. She's younger than me by nearly 15 years, but wiser than I was at her age. "I judged you unfairly," she told me one afternoon as we painted the studio walls. I believed what Frank and Cody said because it was easier than questioning them. "We all have blind spots where family is concerned," I replied, finding that the old jealousy and resentment had faded into something like understanding. As for Cody, his journey has been the most profound. The treatment center's strict program forced him to confront not only his alcohol misuse, but the entitlement and narcissistic patterns that had defined his adult life. Weekly progress reports showed initial resistance, followed by grudging participation, and eventually, genuine engagement. 3 months into his treatment, I agreed to a supervised family therapy session. Walking into that sterile conference room, seeing my son sitting nervously at the table, I felt all my carefully constructed boundaries threatening to crumble. I wanted to hug him, to tell him everything would be okay. Instead, I sat across from him and waited. "I don't know how to begin," he said finally, voice hoarse. "I've rehearsed this conversation 100 times, but now that you're here, all my practiced words seem inadequate." "Just speak the truth," I suggested. "That's all I've ever wanted from you." For the next hour, I listened as my son articulated, for the first time, an understanding of his actions without justifications or blame shifting. He spoke about using people as resources rather than respecting them as individuals. He acknowledged creating elaborate fictions to preserve his self-image as a victim rather than face his role as perpetrator. He detailed how he'd systematically exploited my love and Frank's guilt. "I called you a loser," he said, meeting my eyes directly, "because I couldn't face what I had become. It was easier to tear you down than to build myself up. Every lie I told, every dollar I took, every manipulation I attempted, they were all ways to avoid the truth that I was failing as an adult, as a son, as a human being. I didn't speak. Some wounds need to be fully exposed before healing can begin, and Cody was finally lancing years of festered harm. I'm not asking for forgiveness," he continued. "I haven't earned that. I'm not even asking for another chance. What I am asking for is the opportunity to make amends over time, in whatever way you'll allow, knowing that our relationship will never be what it was, and recognizing that what it was wasn't healthy anyway." That session was followed by others, each progressively more honest. Cody completed the 90-day inpatient program and transitioned to a sober living facility where he could begin working while continuing intensive outpatient treatment. He found a job at a garden center, modest work, but honest labor that he approached with a newfound humility. Now, 6 months after that devastating dinner, I'm hosting a small gathering in my new studio. Frank and Amanda are here, Sarah and her husband Tom, my sister Linda, my principal Brenda, and, for the first time since his arrest, Cody here with permission from his probation officer for this supervised event. He looks different, healthier, clearer-eyed, carrying himself with less swagger and more genuine confidence. He's lost weight, gained muscle from the physical work at the garden center. But the most striking change is in his interactions. He listens more than he speaks, offers help without being asked, expresses gratitude for small kindnesses. As everyone mingles, enjoying the refreshments and admiring the studio, Cody approaches me somewhat hesitantly. "This is amazing, Mom," he says, gesturing to the space around us. "You've created something beautiful." "Thank you," I reply. "It's been healing to build something just for me after so many years of putting it off." He nods, understanding the layers in my statement. "I've been meaning to tell you I'm making payments to the school foundation to repay what I took from you. It's not much each month, but my counselor helped me create a restitution plan. I thought you'd rather see the money go toward helping kids than come directly to you." The thoughtfulness of this gesture, recognizing that money between us is still a complicated issue, touches me deeply. "That's a wonderful idea, Cody. Thank you. I've also been working on something else." He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small, handcrafted wooden box. "We have a woodworking shop at the Sober Living House. I made this for you." Inside the box is a simple ceramic pendant, clearly novice work, but made with obvious care. The counselor has us create symbols of what we're working toward. This is a key, representing the trust I hope to rebuild someday. I carefully lift the pendant, noting the imperfections that make it genuine. "It's lovely. I know things can never go back to how they were," he says quietly. "And they shouldn't. How they were wasn't healthy for either of us. But I hope someday we can build something new, something better, based on truth and respect." Frank joins us, sensing the gravity of the moment. "How about a picture?" he suggests, holding up his phone. "The three of us haven't had a photo together in, 16 years? We stand somewhat awkwardly, Cody careful to maintain appropriate distance per his conditions. Frank puts one arm around me and extends the other toward Cody, not quite touching him but creating a visual connection. "One moment," Frank says, studying the screen. "Julie, you're not smiling. This is a celebration, isn't it? Your studio, Cody's progress, all of us here together? I consider this." Then allow a genuine smile to form, not the practiced expression I wore through years of difficulty, but a real reflection of cautious hope. As Frank snaps the picture, I realize something profound. The family in this photo isn't the one I once desperately tried to preserve through sacrifice and enabling. It's something new, and still forming, three imperfect people who have caused each other tremendous pain, but are choosing, with clear eyes, to work toward healing. Later, as guests begin to leave, I find myself alone with Cody for a moment. He helps gather empty plates, respectful of the boundaries that remain between us. "I have my own apartment now," he says. "It's tiny and in a not great neighborhood, but I pay for it myself. No roommates, no subsidies from Dad or anyone else. Just mine, based on what I can truly afford." The pride in his voice is different from his old boasting. It's quieter, rooted in genuine accomplishment rather than facade. "That's wonderful," I tell him, meaning it. "I know the restraining order is still in effect outside of supervised visits," he acknowledges, "and I understand why that's necessary. I've proven I can't be trusted. But I want you to know, I'm doing the work, really doing it, not just checking boxes. Someday, I hope to be the kind of son you can be proud of." As he leaves with his treatment sponsor, who's come to drive him back to the sober living facility, I stand in the doorway of my studio, my space, created from reclaimed dreams, and watch him go. The anger that once consumed me has transformed into something more complex, caution tempered with compassion, boundaries strengthened by wisdom. I think about the journey that began with those cruel words at dinner, how they shattered illusions I'd maintained for decades, how that painful moment ultimately forced both Cody and me to face truths we'd been avoiding him about his behavior, me about my enabling, how sometimes the most loving thing a parent can do is allow their child to experience consequences. Frank approaches as Cody's car disappears down the street. "You did the right thing," he says quietly, standing firm when everyone, including me, was pressuring you to keep rescuing him. "It was the hardest right thing, but still right." "We both made mistakes," I acknowledge. "We're still making them, I'm sure. But at least now we're trying to learn from them rather than repeat them." As twilight settles over my new beginning, I realize the most important lesson from this painful journey. True love, whether for a child, a partner, or yourself, requires both compassion and accountability. It demands truth, even when truth hurts. And sometimes it means taking back what's yours, not just material possessions, but your dignity, your boundaries, your right to respect. My son called me a loser at dinner. I stayed silent that night, but found my voice in the days that followed. And in reclaiming what was rightfully mine, my finances, my home, my self-respect, I gave us both the only chance for genuine healing. Have you ever had to make a difficult decision that caused short-term pain but ultimately led to growth and healing? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more stories about life's difficult moments and how we find our way through them. Don't forget to share this with someone who might need to hear that standing firm in their boundaries isn't selfish. It's sometimes the most loving thing we can do. Thank you for listening, and I wish you strength and wisdom in your own challenging relationships.